Day 8 dawned bright and sunny. It was a day we had been anticipating, half dreading, unsure of how our transit of the Drake Passage would go. We had hoped for the Drake Lake, dreaded the Drake Shake, and ended up with something like a Drake Roll. You knew you were in some water, but it was far from horrible. It was an uneventful crossing, which is a good thing on this ocean. It was more of a typical sea day, but with more lectures than usual, so it passed quickly. We really enjoyed the entertainment in the Bliss Lounge and became regular customers there each night. Day 9 was a day that will live in our hearts and memory forever. We awoke to a dense fog as we rounded Snow Island and headed towards Deception Island. Occasionally a rock islet would appear out of the fog, and the blast of the ship horn was a constant companion, warning others that we were on our way. It was almost as if we stepped into a black and white movie and everything was a shade of gray. Deception Island is the remnants of a volcano with a 6-mile by 4-mile wide flooded caldera in the center. The narrow entry to the caldera was given the name Neptune's Bellows, which is probably the coolest nautical name ever. We saw the first of the many terns and albatross birds we would see over the next 2 days. I did not expect to see so many birds in this icy world. You may not see it, but you can sure smell the penguin colony over there. Ooh. Deception Island is home to the largest colony of chinstrap penguins in Antarctica and the world, with over 100,000 mating pairs, about 300,000 individual penguins. The ship sat and did several slow spins just off the shore of the main colony, so we could, with zoom and binoculars, get a good glimpse of them. It seemed like a dream to realize that we were in Antarctica, watching penguins and a few sea lions in their natural habitat. You know what you expect to see, but the reality of it was even better than we had imagined. For a few precious moments, time just seemed to stand still as we sat and watched one of our dreams come true. After our slow spin, we cruised on, this time towards Livingston Island, which started adding blue to the 50 shades of gray world we had been cruising through all morning. Snow and ice, land, sea, and sky all seemed to meld together into a beautiful panorama that my camera and words just can't even do justice to. Livingston Island was the first land discovered south of 60 degrees south latitude in 1819, a historic event that marked the end of a centuries-long pursuit of the mythical Terra Australis Incognita and the beginning of the exploration and utilization of the real Antarctica. Terra Australis, Latin for southern land, was a hypothetical continent first posted in antiquity, including Ptolemy in ancient Rome and Aristotle in ancient Greece, and which appeared on maps between the 15th and 18th centuries. Its existence was not based on any survey or direct observation, but rather on the idea that continental land in the northern hemisphere should be balanced by land in the southern hemisphere. This theory of balancing land has been documented as early as the 5th century on maps by Macrobius, who used the term Australis on his maps. Australia was discovered first and given the name, so when the 7th continent was discovered, it went nameless for years, until finally being given the name of Antarctica. Livingston Island is 45 miles long and the second largest of the 317-mile-long stretch of islands known as the South Shetland Islands of Antarctica. They were given the name South Shetland as they are approximately at the same but opposite degree of latitude as the Shetland Islands off the coast of Scotland. The two largest mountains on Livingston Island are Mount Friesland at 5,578 feet and St. Boris Peak at 5,554 feet. Glaciers can tower up to 5,000 feet above the sea. As we cruised, spotters on the bridge watched for wildlife sightings and occasionally would announce over the loudspeaker that there were whales or penguins or birds within sight. As soon as the announcement came on, everyone would run out to their balconies hoping for a glimpse, then trickle back inside to warm up, just to run out again. The people who were brave enough to venture out on the bow were blessed with several close-up animal sightings, but from the balcony, the viewing of the wildlife wasn't as impressive. But the landscape sure made up for it. We did get plenty of sightings from the balcony, they just weren't very close. As beautiful as Livingston Island had been, it would pale in comparison to what we would see next as the sun came out and we cruised towards the largest island in the chain, King George Island.
Sides. On one side, we can see we get close enough to see one of the stations, and on the other side we'll have a look at the glacier. As we come through the gap on the left, there's the Polish Antarctica station, and we turn to the right, we see the Machu Picchu station from Peru. We may get close enough to see the Kundan-Peran's Brazilian station. That's not certain yet.
Human habitation of King George Island is limited to research stations belonging to Argentina, Brazil, Chile, China, South Korea, Peru, Poland, Russia, Uruguay, and the United States. Most of these stations are permanently staffed, carrying out research into areas as diverse as biology, ecology, geology, and paleontology. The Chilean station is a permanent village with an airstrip, cafeterias for personnel, a bank, a post office, and comfortable ranch-style family homes for families with children. The Chinese Great Wall Base features an indoor multi-purpose room which serves as a full-size basketball court. In 2004, a Russian Orthodox church, Trinity Church, was opened on the island near Russia's Bellinghausen station. The church, one of the southernmost in the world and one of the few permanent structures in Antarctica, is permanently staffed by a priest. As we rounded the point leading into Admiralty Bay and were greeted by penguins, the water got bluer, the glaciers taller, the icebergs more frequent, and the landscape more dramatically beautiful. As we cruised the 3 glacier-lined fjords that make up Admiralty Bay, I'm going to let it speak for itself, as I don't have the words to do it justice. unforgettable afternoon and early evening in Admiralty Bay. We left King George Island behind and called it a day. Day 10, our second day in Antarctica, was as anticlimactic as the previous day had been spectacular. We awoke to a view of Elephant Island and were hoping to get a view of Point Wild, where the Shackleton crew had survived until their rescue, but the fog had other ideas. We spent the next few hours not seeing much of the island, but happily watching flocks of birds and getting an occasional glimpse of fishing penguins. By early afternoon, with the seas getting steadily rougher, we took an early departure from the South Shetland Islands and headed back north towards the Falkland Islands, which we would reach in 1.5 days. As we cruised, the weather improved and shipboard life started getting back to normal. We ended our day with a dinner at the Brazilian steakhouse. And of course, listening to our favorite band, the Rhythm Jive Band, at the Bliss Lounge. Stay tuned for part 7 as we tour the Falkland Islands and spend one more wonderful day with penguins.